All right, good evening, everybody. Info Sam here with your operational update for this evening. Here we go. A lot of activity today. Winds coming out of the northwest, cleared the area over Ruth Lake and this northwest portion of the fire. That clear air allowed us to get aircraft up, and they were able to work over the Ruth Lake area and support firefighters in their operations in there. They're still doing point protection around the structures in there, still working on trying to get the dozer lines connected out here in front of it. CAL FIRE's coming from the west. We're working from the east. CAL FIRE is still engaged down here in the Xenia and the Ketton Palm area. They're putting dozer line in and slowly working the fire down here to where they can connect that. With this activity over here and putting the smoke up, it's kind of pushing the smoke off down in this direction. But as the incident meteorologist Eric Everson was telling us earlier this afternoon, that's building up a plume of smoke here that the winds aloft are now pushing that smoke up this way, and it's heavy, dense smoke on the eastern side of the fire. Wildwood, I bet it's pretty smoky in there for you folks. One of the things with the increased activity over here on the north side of 36, where fire's working its way north here in the South Fork Trinity drainage, as it's approaching the ranch area, fire was getting a little active in there, and we needed to do some tactical firing to kind of slow the fire's advance down as it's wanting to move in there. We're burning off in little chunks there. We just don't want the fire to get up ahead of steam and move quickly on us. So we do have some small amount of firing operations going on in there as we're trying to get dozer line down into the river drainage from both sides here. We're developing dozer lines and containment lines, contingencies out here, working on roads that exist and then opening up existing fire breaks from previous fires. The hope is to catch it at one of these so that it doesn't make it as far as High and Palm, that it doesn't make it this direction on into Indian Valley, Rowdy Bear, on up towards Hayfork. So developing off the dozer line that we have around Point Mountain, working it this way. So a little bit of firing operations going up here, still working to develop this. A lot of fire activity, a lot of activity, firefighters over here. The smoke that came down here and sheltered all of this, it's pretty dense in here, and we're not able to get aircraft in here, but the high-flying aircraft with the multi-mission aircraft, infrared, is able to see through the smoke, and we can see the fire down here, and it was working its way down Texas Chow Creek, and as the winds were prevailing here, the terrain is catching some of that, and it's putting a curve in the winds on the ground. And that's carried some spots over Forest Road 35 here. We've been working Forest Road 35 to clear and brush and widen it to have it as a potential primary line right here. But we have got some spots over that this afternoon in that heavy, dense smoke down here around Brushy Mountain and in the Hayfork Creek area right here. So couple of spots over here. As things calm down this evening, the night shift is headed in there to get around those spots and see what they can do. It's still pretty dense smoke, and it's not the best place for firefighters to work or be safe to be able to pay attention to what's happening around them. Folks in Wildwood, I've talked with our fire behavior analyst and Brad Wausau, who's now taken over for Chris. Brad's telling me that it's highly unlikely that there's going to be a wind event or anything tonight that's going to make this fire move the 5 to 6 miles that it is towards Wildwood. So very unlikely that it's going to move tonight. We're just not seeing those conditions in the winds in the overnight. The winds tomorrow are still going to be out of the northwest, and they're even going to be lighter than what they were today. So Wildwood, you're still under an evacuation warning. That means that you need to be prepared and know your plan just in case that it does become an evacuation order. Because once it's that, we want you to leave at that point. So have your things ready, have your plan in place. Platina out here, just over the county line, Shasta County has a different program. They don't have an evacuation warning. In Shasta County, it's either you're ready all the time because Northern California is a fire-prone place this time of year, especially this year with the super dry conditions. Platina, you always need to be ready because when the order comes from Shasta County, it's an order and it's time to go. So you're a little farther away, much greater distance, but you guys should always be ready in Platina. Wildwood, you're still under that warning, but it's looking like you're going to be fine tonight. And of course, we'll be right back here in the morning to let you know what's going on. Crews are still down here monitoring and make sure that what we've got down here, our anchor is holding. Equipment, supplies, pumps, and everything that's down here, they're pulling off these lines so that we can use them up here where we need them. Up here along 36, where we're working with that part of the green that's still in between Little Rattlesnake Creek, and then as it starts to go up towards 36, well, we're getting a little activity in there too. And so small chunks they're in there with some strategic firing, just so that the fire doesn't get a head of steam coming up out of Little Rattlesnake Creek and hit 36 with a strong force. And so crews are in there. Night crews are going to continue this operation into the night. They should have good firing opportunities through the night because it's going to be very poor humidity recovery overnight. So the fuels are already dry. The larger downed fuels, larger trees and such are dry. And so they're going to be able to continue this through the night, just taking little small bites here to ensure that the main fire doesn't make a run at 36. We've got good dozer line over here. It's still holding on our dozer line in here. Our contingencies are out here. So it's looking real good, but the conditions with the super dry, it's very active. Going to have the northwest winds again tomorrow, but they're not forecast to be as strong as they are. But with the poor humidity recoveries overnight and the clearing over here, we're going to start getting that solar gain a little early. So expect some more activity on this side of the fire. I imagine we're still going to be pretty smoky over here on this side of the fire, just how things played out today, and the forecast isn't that much different for tomorrow. Trying to remember it all here. Another big change that's coming up, and Karen's been telling us about how, you know, we're kind of short on resources, and it's not necessarily the firefighters on the ground, but it's that middle management that can understand where all of the crews are and keeping them engaged in the firefight and keeping them engaged safely. We've been asking for help, and help has arrived in the form of the Pacific Northwest Type 1 management team. It's the Pacific Northwest Team 2 that's coming in here. They're setting up their incident command post in Eureka, and they're going to take over this northwest portion of the fire, and we're going to remain with the northeast portion of the fire. And what that's going to give us is that's going to give us that middle management and management structure for these firefighters that are engaged out here. The firefighters that are there, that are engaged, the federal firefighters, the state firefighters, and the Cal firefighters are all still going to be the same guys on the ground that have been there for the past several days, are going to be there tomorrow. But our branch directors and division directors have been side by side with the incoming P&W team. And they're learning what's going on. They're figuring out where all the crews are, and that work is happening. And so The dividing line is the South Fork Trinity River. Down here, there's a road access that comes down off of South Fork Mountain down into the South Fork Trinity, South Fork, you locals call it. I'm certainly not a local. And so it'll come down here, and then it's going to catch South Fork Mountain and follow that ridge down here, pretty much into down here where it's the heart of the fire, where there hasn't been any recent activity or such. CAL FIRE is still going to be engaged down here in the North Fork or the Middle Fork of the Eel River. CAL FIRE is still going to be involved out here, helping us with the dozer line coming in this way. But PNW 2 is going to take over the management of the resources in here, and that's going to give our managers, once these guys are up to speed and knowledgeable of the job that's ahead of them, they're going to move over here and add to that management structure that we're short of over here for the firefighters that we have focused on. The going on here is we're trying to build our dozer lines to keep this from moving north, to keep it from hitting 36 and impacting 36, and to put more attention into what's happening over here as we want to hold the fire on Forest Road 35. So night crews are going to address these spots. Wildwood, you're going to go to sleep tonight, ready to go for whatever happens tomorrow. I'm confident that you can get some sleep tonight. Please try and do that. But tomorrow morning, we're going to be talking to you and let you know what the situation's going to look like tomorrow. Things are looking good. We've worked a lot of incidents with the folks that are a part of the Pacific Northwest team. That Northwest team and the Alaska team, there's a lot of Alaskans on that Pacific Northwest team, and there's a lot of folks from the Pacific Northwest that's on our Alaska team. We've worked a lot together. We fought fire together, shoulder to shoulder in Alaska and up and down the West Coast here. So it's a good thing that, that our brothers in arms, Green Pants Nation, are going to join us on this and really increase our horsepower as we work on this. So a lot of fire activity tonight, a lot of good works going on out there, and we're looking good going in tomorrow. So we'll be back here in the morning with Karen's morning update, and Cale will be here for his live breaking it down. And as needed, we'll be jumping in and letting you know what's going on. PNW 2 has the same sort of communication strategy that we do. They're going to be sharing the Facebook pages with us, breaking it down for how their crews are doing things and getting the work done. So be prepared, folks. Things are going to be changed, but it's not going to change our firefighters out here on the ground. The same guys that's been doing the work are going to be right out there carrying on. So thank you and have a good evening, and we'll be talking to you again tomorrow.